Now we turn to Lesson 3-3. In Lesson 3-3, we turn our attention to revenue variances. Specifically, our objectives are to understand fundamentals of revenue variances, how to calculate revenue variances, and how to interpret those revenue variances. Just like with cost variances, we're going to develop a generic framework for calculating revenue variances. When we think about revenues, we can think about two inherent drivers of those revenues. Just like with cost variances, we can think about those things happening at an actual level or an expected or budgeted level. So when we think about actual revenues, we can think about the product that we sell and the price we charge our customers for each unit of that product. So we have an actual price. To calculate total revenues, we would take that actual price, again per unit sold, and multiply by some actual quantity. By multiplying these two components, we would have total actual revenues. Now, when we make the world a little bit more complex, we can think of a multi-product firm. And in multi-product firms, they usually have products that are complements or substitutes. So just like in previous modules, we can think about the percentage of our overall quantity sold of a particular type of product. For example, in a couple of slides, we'll talk about a cookie manufacturer. And the cookie manufacturer might have 3 different types of cookies. Some proportion of their overall cookies sold are of variety 1, another proportion is of variety 2, and the third is comprised of variety of 3. So in actual terms, we can think about the percentage of our overall quantity sold that is of a particular product type. And that we'll call the actual mix, or proportion of our overall quantity sold that is of a particular type of product. Now, just like in cost variances, we can have an analogous world where everything is budgeted or standardized. With respect to revenues, we usually refer to revenues and prices as budgeted as opposed to standards. That just helps differentiate the different types of variances. But over in our complete budgeted world, we would have the budgeted price for our product, the expected or budgeted mix, and the budgeted total quantity of units sold. Multiplying these 3 budgeted items yields a total budgeted revenue dollar amount. And just like with cost variances, we can turn one dial at a time, separating out individual reasons as to why the actual revenues collected differed from that which was expected or budgeted. So we can move to a flexible budget type of column, where the budgeted price and budgeted mix are held constant. But rather than use the total quantity sold, on a budgeted basis, we use the actual quantity. Multiplying those 3 components gives us another column total. Again, the difference between what is columns 3 and 4, or the 2 right-hand columns, parses out the difference between the actual quantity in total terms sold versus that which was expected. Another dial turn leads us to think about the mix. We leave our price in budgeted terms. We've already converted our budgeted quantity to actual quantity, so we'll leave that as actual quantity, and we'll change the next dial to actual mix. The difference between columns 2 and 3 parse out the source of differences between actual and budgeted proportions or mix of sales. And finally, the comparison between the first and second column parses out differences between the actual and budgeted selling price. Just like in the cost variance framework, we have 3 individual variances that we can focus on. And again, depending on what company or organization is using this analysis, will determine what names are being used. Generically, you can refer it to the selling price variance, the sales mix variance, and the quantity or volume variance. Again, just like the cost variances, analyzing at this level of detail allows us to understand the role of different components, fundamental issues in the calculation of revenue, and how they drive differences between actual revenues and budgeted revenues.